on board with Tony Stewart, and there is Buddy Lazier just ahead. Barely 100 yards separates them, and Stewart very much on the charge, trying to make up the difference as they thread their way through the fourth corner. And my question would be, are those tire fragments we're looking at on the screen, you think, Danny?
Well, I think what we saw was when he went down into 3, he got it. So I would assume there's probably a little dirt still left on the track.
That's pretty easy to be happening now, especially where the track goes so close to the grass down there. And that really wouldn't affect the handling yet, but it certainly looks bad on the camera lens.
So Stewart makes the move. It's Jones, Lazier, Stewart, Lyondike, Zampedri, Salazar, and 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th are fairly tight on the course.
And you notice there, too, that Tony Stewart was very close behind Lazier, looking like he was looking like he was going to make a pass, and now he's backed up to Ari, and Ari looks like he's closing on him. I don't know whether he turned his boost back down, they asked him to back off, or he just didn't like the disturbed air once he got behind Lazier's car.
I think another thing right now is Jones. Fastest he's been running is right now, he's up to almost 230 miles an hour now. That's really fast for him. He's been a little bit slower than that all day.
Here comes Lyondike again as something's happened with Stewart. Stewart suddenly slows. Danny, you were watching his speed and it fell off a little bit, didn't it?
Yes, but not as much as this. He's definitely got a problem. He didn't go in
the back of the car there. There's a plume of something.
Yeah, but and you can hear it a little bit. I think it sounds a little off song. But he's still going around. He didn't come into the pits. Is he going to come in there? No.
Larry Curry, the crew chief. You know, as Stewart comes down the main stretch, we are under green. That engine is going.
You can see the smoke off the right side of the car. I think what he was doing was calling into why he didn't pit was, hey, Larry, what should I do? Do you want me to keep going? Do you want me to pit?
It's doomsday. He won't be able to go very long.
Let's go to Jack.
Let's see, Larry, what's wrong?
Pop-off valve started malfunctioning on the last run. Hung the valve open. It looks like we broke the motor.
Yes, as he went by me down here, there's the smoke coming out pretty bad. As he went by here, he had a cylinder not running on the 6-cylinder engine, only had 5 cylinders. That's doomsday. Tony Stewart will be out.
You heard Larry Curry pronounce, might be a little bit of oil fire in the left rear of that car. Larry Curry, of course, pronouncing it out. And so now he joins Walt Faulkner and Teo Fabi as rookie pole sitters who do not win the Indianapolis 500-mile race. No rookie pole sitters ever accomplished that.
And Bobby, I've got a question for you. Larry Curry said that they blew the pop-off valve, and that's what blew the motor. Does that make a lot of sense to you?
It does. So Larry is getting a little bit technical on his answer. What he's saying is when you blow the pop-off valve, everything works really hard. The back pressure in the exhaust system goes up. This causes problems, internal heat on the pistons inside. I know that's a little detailed, Danny, but that's what he means. And he should have never been popping the pop-off valve this early. He should have never been running that engine with so much horsepower that close to the edge.
So Tony Stewart out while Eddie Cheever in the pits as well. You saw him come past Tony. Let's go back and look at the replay, but let's also listen to the onboard, and we'll hear the engine. Whoa.
That's a terrible sounding engine. They don't sound good. They don't sound nice and smooth when they're not running right.
I don't know. Sounds like one I had when I was a kid. Let's go to Jack Arute. Tony Stewart out of the race, Jack.
He's taking the air.
Whoa, look at that. Ari Lyondike jumps around Buddy Lazier as Lazier gets caught up behind Lynn St. James. Now, Jack.
Well, you lead 1 minute, and then you're out of the race, and Ari Lyondike makes moves. But Tony Stewart, you were messing with the pop-off valve, trying to maybe control some fuel, and then it popped off. And then we heard on board camera later, a couple of laps back to green, that the motor died.
Well, it's one of USAC's junk pop-off valves. At least next year in the IRL, we go to normally aspirated motors, and we don't have to worry about that garbage. So,
what about the track conditions? You know, we're seeing some awfully fast speeds. We're seeing some good, solid racing.
Well, the track's great. You know, everyone's using their head. Everyone's being very careful and running smart races right now. The lap cars are looking in their mirrors. Everybody's running good. I mean, it's a fun race out there right now. It's just a shame that we're in here.
Paul? the voice of Larry Curry, the crew chief, looking for the marks. You can see them there, the yellow and white tape. Stewart hits them perfectly.
About 1 point. We're going to fill it up with fuel, and that's it.
Now, here is the problem with Stewart right now, guys.
Go, 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 go.
Tony has no telemetry back to the pit, so Larry Curry must communicate with Tony to find out fuel consumption. Well, Paul, Tony Stewart is starting to slow just a little bit from the first couple of laps after that pit stop. He's reported in. He's got a push. They call it an understeer. He says it's worse than the last time. So obviously, the changes that Larry Curry made, Tom Steva, weren't sufficient.
Well, either they weren't sufficient or they didn't go the right direction, possibly. I'm not sure, but they obviously, this set of tires doesn't match the car as well as the first set they had on.
10-4, we just got to hang on, man.
Well, Tom, as you know too, sometimes the stagger doesn't come up as high as you want it. Those tires don't come up to work exactly the way you want it.
Yeah, sometimes you don't get the match.
2 to go.
Stewart hit the wall coming off of turn 4. Stewart went up in front.
Yellow. Stewart pressed the wall. Danny Sullivan saw it. You saw it. As Stewart got high coming off of the corner. Look at the car, Tom. Everything look all right?
Well, everything looks fine there. I'm not sure what the yellow is for, though. Well, Lyondike also looked like he almost grazed the wall, so...
Well, we'll go back, take a look at it. Of course, when a car touches the wall, that's when you're going to go yellow here.
Again, on board Stewart, you can see him. Ooh,
Boy,
good
that wasn't a
spot.
brush. That was a certified hit.
Yeah, that's a pretty good hit. Obviously, understeering, he's pressing too hard to try to close the gap and made a little mistake.
That shows you how much the front wings do, because you get a little disturbed there from the other cars there and kept standing on the gas and ran out of racetrack.
Boy, what funny performance out of Tony Stewart.
And Paul, Tony Stewart is doing that with a car that's got a severe understeer in the car. So watch Tom Steva. He'll probably compensate for it as he goes through the corners.
Yeah, because he has been so inconsistent, and that's the indication of an ill-handling car.
Well, he actually hasn't been that inconsistent, Paul, but it obviously has some understeer. I didn't notice that on the in-car. We'll watch it as it goes down into the corner. You can see this paw-looking thing in the left front. We got a yellow, Paul. We got a yellow.
Got trouble on the front straightaway, and it's in fact Stewart. Stewart's engine let go.
Unbelievable.
Well,
Leading the race, no warning, gone.
And look at the anger in the cockpit. Stewart, fortunately, able to drive it to a stop without causing trouble for anybody. No one got against the wall, including Stewart.
It looked like that steering wheel must have been a little slippery the way it slipped out of his hands, Paul.
Well, Tony Stewart was furious. He threw the steering wheel, still connected to the two-way radio, out of the front of the car, flings down his gloves in anger. Remember, they had concerns about these engines going to qualifying. They had engine trouble. They finally made a decision to back out of their qualifying engines and use one that was detuned a little bit. But in doing that, they said that they were assuring that the race would run well for Team Menard. Now, one half of the team is gone. Tony Stewart waves to his fans.
Sort of an unusual place to pull the thing to a stop. He's down in the groove and he pulls it to the outside. Don't understand that. Maybe we can get some more information on why he stopped it in that position with the blown motor.
I don't think I've ever seen a car pull up high on the track. Seen a lot of them go low, and of course part of that has to be a product of the positioning on the track when he turned into the corner, and the fact that maybe those rear tires did have oil on them, and the car just decided it was going to go up there and park itself, and Tony was just good enough to get it stopped before it parked itself against the wall.
Well, pretty frustrated Tony Stewart right now. Just unbelievable. He's shaking his head. He can't understand what could have happened. But like we talked about, they were concerned about their qualifying motors. They were happy with the race motors, but they're not real happy right now.
Well, let's talk to Larry Curry. Did Tony tell you anything?
No, we had no warning. We was sitting there running the race that we wanted to run. We wanted to sit and run in traffic. He knew what he had. He said, I know enough about this now. He went up, set him up in traffic, took the lead, and then all of a sudden, bang. So no warning on telemetry, nothing.
A litany of engine problems for this team throughout the year, throughout the month. You thought it was limited to your qualifying effort. Now what do you think?
Yeah, well, you know, got another car over here in the race with Robbie Buell, and so we're going to be nervous for a lot more laps now.
Gary Gerald.
And there's Tony Stewart. He had to put his helmet on so they could tow the car back to the inside of the track. That's one of the rules. Jack Arute.
Well, you can see Tony Stewart with his back turned to the pit area. The disappointment you can see on his face. No warning.
Nah, I wouldn't even run the car hard. I mean, if I was pushing it, I can understand it maybe, but just out there kind of riding around, trying to take it easy.
The emotions right now for Tony Stewart. Describe them.
Well, I mean, this is the only thing I've ever wanted to do in my life. This has been my #1 goal, and every year I get shit on doing it. So, I mean, how would you feel?
Paul?
And there, of course, in many ways is the dream of Tony George and the Pep Boys Indy Racing League to bring guys like Tony Stewart to this, the greatest spectacle in racing. Ari Lyondike comes in.
It sounded like a smelly ending for Tony's day.
Yeah, but it will only serve to stoke his fires, I suspect.
Tony Stewart relinquishes the 9th position to make a pit stop. Now, he is off sequence. He pitted after most everybody else, coming in to get a fresh set of tires, car full of fuel.
They really missed on the setup on the last adjustment.
11.9 second pit stop for Tony Stewart.
They had an understeer.
I went when the jack went down.
You hear him talking. Curry says there's one of the wicker bills is hanging out, so they didn't quite get the job done before Tony left the pits.
Wow.
Larry with the stopwatch, keeping close. There we go. And he's going to wave it off already after just 2 laps.
Tony Stewart actually took that car out this week just for a couple of laps, I think 10 or 12 laps, just to, you know, get it out of his system, I think.
Really?
But
he only ran 218 in the car, so they got some things going on there that they haven't put their finger on yet.
Still under caution here at Indianapolis. While we were away, we had some pit stops. Watch the rush out of the pits. That's Castro Neves right behind Farron, but Michael Andretti and Tony Stewart come very close to colliding.
And I'm going to tell you, let's take another look at it from a different angle. There's DeFerrin coming out. Castro Neves tries to beat his teammate out, and when he does, he pulls right out in front of Stewart. Stewart slams on the brake, and Andretti, I think, does actually run into the back. And Stewart is so mad he could fist fight somebody right now, I guarantee you.
Let's take a look. Oh, you can see, yeah, there was evidence that he did make contact with
that's
Stewart.
A tough break for him.
Well, and Tony Stewart got out very quickly, got out in front of Michael Andretti, in fact, on that stop. And then, Chip, was there actually contact made? It looked as though there was.
Yeah, apparently there was down there. You know, they told us in the meeting that that's against the rules to pull straight out. Looked like DeFerrin didn't have anywhere to go but straight out, fighting with his teammate down there, and we got hit. We checked up and got hit from behind. I mean, it's incredible.
It's been a comfortable race so far. And Tony Stewart just radioed in and said, it took me 135 laps to remember how to do all of this. Let's go to Jerry Punch. Richie Hearn, you see him now, and he's got on a blue sweatshirt, but next time you see him, he might have his driver's suit on, getting ready to take over for Tony Stewart, possibly.
Yeah, it's getting pretty close to his leave time, and you know, I haven't gotten any word from anybody, but I'm going to go ahead and just, you know, get dressed, and if I get the call, I'll be out there, so we'll see what happens.
Tony Stewart has just gotten out of the race car. Richie Hearn's getting ready to go to the garage to put on his driver's suit. Bob Jenkins.
Will Tony Stewart relinquish that ride and give it to Richie, or will he stick around for this rain delay? Interesting situations going on here.
Just took off running, and Tony said he wants more than anything to just get some movement into his leg because he was struggling with his cramp. Hey, Tony, real quickly as we go, what's your deadline? Tony Stewart is in the first aid room, and just a few moments ago, you saw him running from the car to the actual first aid area. Now, the first thing Tony did was lay down on one of the cots. He was complaining of pain in his right buttocks area because of the fact that he'd been sitting in the same position for so long, and therefore his right foot was experiencing some cramping and numbness. So the first thing he wanted to do was get out of the car, put some weight and pressure on that foot, and now he's come into the first aid room. He's laid down on the cot face first, and they're doing some massaging to the right upper buttocks area and the lower back down into the leg, into the right foot. Hopefully, Stewart will be able to not only get some feeling back in that foot, but also get back in the race car, Jerry Punch.
And Vince, this is the time in the race when a lot of drivers complain of cramping. We've talked to Buddy Lazier and a few others out here who had some cramps in their lower leg as well as their forearm. Now, the protocol for Tony Stewart today was to take him in the care center and try to get 2 liters of IV fluid in him and get him on the helicopter and get him out of here by 3 o'clock Central Time, 4 Eastern Time. If he leaves here by 3 o'clock, he will arrive in Charlotte 12 minutes before Gentlemen Start Your Engines. Jackaroo and Chip, we just heard a moment ago they were calling drivers back to their cars, and you're looking for Tony.
Yeah, he had his leg went to sleep. I think he went over to the medical center, so I got to go get him back over here.
Well, we know he's at the medical center. Will he come back and get in the car, or will Richie be the guy?
No, we're not on his window yet. Don't worry about that. We're not on his window yet.
All right, he just walked out of the medical center, and Chip Ganassi looking for his driver because they are calling him back to the cars.
Indeed, all drivers have been told to report to their cars, and we'll be getting hopefully restarted here in just a moment. Now, the forecast in Charlotte is for possible thunderstorms this afternoon. However, by race time later this evening, skies are expected to be clear. We're in a rain delay here at Indy.